We proclaim from hills and valleys will come to drown from the stream of knowledge. Our duty is to succeed in learning and service. Excellence is our goal. Ahmadu Bello University. Yeah, our dreams we shall achieve. We give thanks to Almighty Allah. In Him we derive our strength. We duty we shall by the ways of good learning. North to south, east to west, your name shall always be. Ahmadu Bello University,
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're welcome. And at this point, for the welcome address, may I invite the Director, Institute of Education, Professor E.M. Jumari. Please a round of applause for the Director while he comes. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor, who is ably represented by one of our own, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Professor Raymond Bambo, the Chief Executive Officer of Aderonke Foundation, Dr. Aderonke, my distinguished deans and directors, senior officers from the registry of Ahmadu Bello University, principal officers of the Institute of Education, media men, gentlemen and ladies, good morning. I feel honored to host deans, directors, and senior University in this August Leadership Conference. The Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to welcome you to this conference and to thank you for all the effort and assistance being given to us to organize. Also, sir, permit me to thank the founder of Aderonke Foundation, Dr. Aderonke, for coming all the way from US to come and organize this conference. The Vice Chancellor, sir, you may recall, last year she was here with us, for a conference organized for students of Ahmadu Bello University. She is here again for staff as an addition to what she had under her foundation last year. And this year, the addition is we start with staff of the university. Then by tomorrow, God willing, we are going to engage with students selected from each faculty of the university. Sir, the selection was done based on student performance. We wrote through the academic planning directorate to all academic staff, who also wrote all students to their deans, which students were selected for us. The selection of the deans and senior registry officers were also done through the academic planning and then through the registrar's office. Here we are. It is indeed important that we should continue to have training and retraining. I believe, sir, training can never be too much. No matter what, when we meet, we will be able to share one thing or the other. And as such, that will help us go back to our respective offices and see to what we can change. The Vice Chancellor, sir, the founder, Aderonke Foundation, and other guests, you will agree with me that leadership is vital. Leadership is vital. Leadership is vital. All decisions and policies emanate from the deans, from the directors, and then the registry, senior registry officers. And as such that if we miss it in taking policies or decisions, sincerely speaking, it will cost us a lot in terms of time, in terms of human and material resources. It is against this backdrop that Aderonke Foundation, in collaboration with the Institute of Education, we are organizing this conference so as for us to abreast ourselves, in that regard. The Vice Chancellor, sir, we are going to have 3 sessions. The first one is reimagining leadership strategies for global and effective execution in higher education. This will be taken by the founder, Aderonke Foundation, Dr. Aderonke. And then the second session is going to be led by Professor Siraj Abdul Karim, a former director and former dean, an erudite scholar, in public administration. Prof is here with us, and God willing, you will lead us in topic of leading without titles. And then the third one is going to be, led by Dr. Basira, HOD Department of Computer Engineering at Ahmadu Bello University. And the title of her presentation will be Technology and the Future of Higher Education. I believe these titles or topics are apt, for us to embrace ourselves and then for us to realign with the best global practice. On behalf of the Institute Management, staff, I want to use this opportunity to welcome the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Aderonke, and participants in this program. I pray may the Almighty help us achieve the goals of this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director. So please, can we once again put our hands together for the Director? Thank you. And now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I haven't heard that from the Director. May I invite for some remarks the Chief Executive Officer, Aderonke Foundation, Dr. Aderonke Foundation. You're welcome, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Every time I stand at a podium like this in Nigeria, I always struggle with how best to greet. And so today I will try. I will probably butcher it, but I hope that you will forgive me in advance, that you will give me maybe an A for effort. So standing on a pre-established protocol, Nakwana, Nagatia, Sanu. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure and just a delight to be back here. The director was greeting me this morning and he said, welcome to Zaria. And I said to him, unfortunately, I cannot accept that greeting. I said to him, from now on, he has to greet me, welcome back home. As he had mentioned, I was here last year because of the students who, unfortunately for you, have won my heart over anybody else. And we had a fantastic time with the leadership conference, and I was asked if I would come back again, but not just come back for my friends and the students, but come back to spend a little time with many of you. And I am honored, I am privileged. I do not take this for granted. I know that I stand before great minds, great academicians. I'll tell you a little story before I say too much. I grew up on the campus of the University of Lagos. And I always say whenever I am on a university campus that I would not be who I am if not for the university environment that I grew up in. So I feel highly privileged to be amongst you this morning. I feel blessed to be the product of a university just like yours. And I look forward to an engaging conversation with you. You will find that I am not big on protocol. I'm not a big time speaker, but I love conversation. I love to engage because I think that's how we best learn and that's how we best develop. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you some of the things that I've learned over my career over the last few years. But just in as much, I'm looking forward to learning from you as well. So this is going to be a dialogue. All of you clear your throats so that we can go back and forth today. Before we get started with the session that we have, which is focused on leadership, I want to give you some background as to why I would even be here and having this conversation with you. And I think many of you will understand. As I mentioned, I grew up here in Nigeria and I went through secondary school here in Nigeria on Unilag's campus. I went to the staff school. I was one of those little rats that you see running around on campus from time to time. But then I also went to the secondary school, International School, University of Lagos, and had a fantastic time. I always tell the BC that my best part of being in secondary school here was playing basketball, and he still owes me a game. So if I win, I'll let you know. If you don't hear anything, that means we won. Those were the highlights really of my time growing up here. After I finished at International School, University of Lagos, I didn't have a choice. My parents, funny enough, I'll tell you something else. My mother used to work as an assistant registrar at the University of Lagos back then. She was responsible for the Senate and Ceremonies Committee, which you're probably all very familiar with. And so she would be in people like Mandela for commencement, and she will have some little, rugrats, my brother and I running around. But anyway, when we were done with secondary school, the state of things at Unilag was not conducive for her children to continue to remain on the campus. There were a lot of riots in Senate meetings. The students will come in and turn over the tables, and they will have to duck and hide through bushes in order to get off campus to safety. And so she had decided at that point that her children will not continue on the campus of the University of Lagos so that she could continue working there in her capacity. And that's what led me to leave the country and head to Howard University. So I'm a graduate of Howard University. My undergraduate degree is so if there are any technologists in this space, I've spent maybe about 20 something years of my career in the technology space, delivering technology solutions for governments across the US, Caribbean, Australia, and Europe, and a little bit of Asia. So I spent the last few years delivering technology. But while I was doing that, one of the things that came up for me repeatedly is the idea that we have some gaps in leadership, not just in Nigeria, but really globally. And that's what led me to pursue really my doctorate work or my doctoral work in the leadership development space. I spent about 7 gruesome years, trying to understand what was going on from a leadership perspective, considering all the money that we spend on leadership development across the globe, and the fact that nothing was changing, right? We spend all of this money on leadership. We say leadership is the problem. We spend all this money on leadership, billions and billions of dollars, but nothing is really changing. And that's what I sought to try to understand as part of my doctoral time. And came up with a few things there, but that's really what has driven the work that I'm doing today and have been doing since about 2019. Like many of you, I truly believe that we have a gap in leadership, and until we close that gap, the countries we want to see, the universities we want to see, the communities we want to see, and the homes that we want to see will be lacking because all of them are highly dependent on the quality of leaders that we have. And so with that in the back of my mind, I started doing a lot of leadership perspective. Aderonke Foundation was born a little bit earlier than that in Nigeria in about 2018. And we were doing some work with children. We started off by opening children's libraries in Lagos, and now probably in almost every state. I think we still have a couple states where we don't have a presence. But we started off by opening children's libraries in remote areas in across the country, specifically for children who do not have access to books. So if you think about somebody like me, I lived in Nigeria, my children will have all the books that they need because we can create a home library and we can buy books from the stores. But there's many children across Nigeria that don't have that luxury. And we wanted to make sure that we gave them the opportunity to expand their minds through books. And we started opening libraries across the country in 2018. To date, we have opened over 150 libraries across the country. I believe we have some in Kano, in Kaduna. I was just last week in Awka, and I got a chance to visit 6 different libraries just in close proximity between Enugu and Asaba. Just driving in that area, I got a chance to visit 6 of them. So we've been opening these libraries across the country. They're open on Saturdays. There are books there for children to come in and read. We teach them how to use computers. We teach them how to play chess. We also teach them how to play Scrabble. And some of you might ask, why something like Scrabble? I'll tell you. I met a boy this past week while I was in Njikoka local government in Anambra State. And he came to me and he said, "I'll do something." And I said, "What?" And he brought a plaque and 3 medals. And he said, "I didn't know that I could be successful by playing games." And coming to our library for several years, and now has 3 medals, a plaque, and a scholarship to go to school just from playing Scrabble. That is why we do the work that we do. And we have little pockets like this, like I said, in over 100 locations across the country, and there's so many stories. I would never hear all the stories, but that's just example of one. So we started the libraries. We did the libraries for a while. As a technologist by trade, I'm also bothered with the fact that we have so many children across Nigeria that have never seen or touched a computer. I ask myself every day, if they've never seen or touched a computer, what happens to us as we enter a world of AI? Or how will they ever be able to compete with my children? And because of that, we started a digital literacy program. It's called Tech Savvy Nigeria, and we have a team of about 50 members of our team that go into schools, into lower income schools, whether it's private or public, and they basically teach children the basics of digital literacy. So what is a computer? How do you turn it on? Word, Excel, and they go through a whole curriculum all the way to the internet. And our goal is to just provide exposure so that when they do get a chance to come in contact with a computer, they know what it is and they can do some basic things. So that was the second core program of the foundation. And then after I got my PhD in 2019 is when I decided to dive deep into the leadership development space. One of the things that came out of my research was the fact that the skills that make good leaders, the skills that make the most impactful leaders are actually developed right from young. And I say really, really young. Between the ages of 4 and 6 is when we start to develop the skills that make good leaders. And so we started out by going into schools, primary and secondary schools, and teaching children what it takes to be good leaders. We wanted them to understand what leadership is, what makes a good leader different from a bad leader, and how they can practice these skills even as young children. So we did that for a while, and obviously got great results from there. And we wanted to continue that work into the university sort of world, because the more you continue to reinforce and inculcate these skill sets, the better leaders we have, and the greater the chances that when people are in stressful situations, they are able to call on these skills that are now innate to them. And so that's what led us to Ahmadu Bello University and several other universities across the country. We believe that your students are at the cusp of making life decisions in terms of who they will be upon graduation. And we find that this is no better time than to try to put in them or try to build in them a culture of good leadership. And if we are building a culture of good leadership amongst your children or your students, it is beholden to us to make sure that we're sharing with you what we're doing with them. It's not just a student culture, but it's a university culture where we are able to lead in ways that make everyone feel seen, make everyone feel part of the community, and also deliver the results that we want to see as a community and ultimately as a nation. So that's really what has brought me to this space. I look forward to the conversation we will have in a few minutes. Thank you all so much for having me. I know that sometimes I can talk fast, and some people laugh at my accent. Just, if you're not hearing me, just put your hand up a little bit and I will try to switch it up a little bit. But if you decide that now Pidgin you want me to use talk today, I can also switch up to that. My house is too skittish, but we'll find a way around it. But sincerely, I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to be in your space. I don't take it for granted, and I look forward to further conversations with you today.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Please, can we once again put our hands together for Dr. Thank you, ma'am. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the next item is goodwill messages. And to start with, may I invite the chairperson of the Committee of Deans and Directors, Professor Mariam Aminu, for her goodwill message. Thank you. You're welcome.
The Vice Chancellor, Professor, I don't know, I'm ably represented by the DVC Academic Professor Raymond Kanko, our Madam Aderonke, directors and deans here present, the organizers of this program. Good morning. It is my pleasure to extend my warm goodwill message on this Leadership Development Conference with the theme Reimaging Leadership, Key Strategies for Global Impact. Institute of Education, that's the director, and the organizer, the foundation, the organizer of this timely and important conference, Madam Aderonke. Today, the world faces complex challenges that require a new generation of leaders. Leaders who are visionary, who are innovative, who are ethical, and committed to service. Reimaging leadership is not simply about changing titles or structures. It is about transforming mindsets, embracing collaboration, nurturing future leaders, and creating lasting impact in our communities and institutions. As members of the academic community, we have a responsibility to prepare graduates who are not only knowledgeable, but also equipped with the leadership skills that are needed to drive positive changes, both locally and globally. Higher education must continue to serve as a catalyst for innovation, excellence, and sustainable development. I am confident that the discussions and experiences shared during this conference will inspire participants to lead with purpose, influence with integrity, and contribute meaningfully to national and global development. I wish all participants a fruitful and rewarding conference. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next on the list is the Director of Human Resource, Madam Yakubu Anibasa. You're welcome, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The the Vice Chancellor of this great university, ably represented here by Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Professor Raymond Bako, the organizers of this program, the Director Institute of Education, and the Aderonke Foundation. May I, on behalf of my principal, the registrar, welcome you to this important conference. We want to appreciate the leadership of the university for facilitating this event, which is in line with its effort to building capacity and skills of its workforce. And I also thank the Director of Institute of Education for hosting this event. We appreciate you for your painstaking efforts. The Aderonke Foundation, we are grateful for extending this collaboration to ABU. Incidentally, the participants represent a cross-section of the university. We have the leadership from the academic, and also the top echelon of the registry. The university community is actually the better place for this event. So from all indication, this event promises to be exciting, and the participants are ready for a very promising. So on behalf of my registrar, we want to wish each and every one of us a happy and rewarding session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And last but not the least, I invite the Director of Institute of Administration, Professor Ahmadu Bello.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to recognize in a special way the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Raymond Bako, and the organizers of this conference, Dr. Aderonke, and also Mr. Jumari, the Director of Institute of Education. I have looked at the theme for this conference. I've also looked at the resource persons that we invited to present papers at this conference. And I came to the conclusion that the conference is not only apt but timely. And I also believe that the outcome will also be very rewarding, not only to Ahmadu Bello University, but to the staff and also the students. And on this note, I invite the participants to participate actively and also contribute.
Very much, Director Sam. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point, may I humbly and respectfully invite for his remarks the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Professor Ahmed, who is here ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor.
But I'm excited about her background. Having grown up in the university environment, University of Lagos, and so she understands who we are and about our experiences in the US, particularly that we went to Howard University. I had the privilege of being not too far away at the University of Maryland at College Park for my fulbright program. And I visited Howard University. And so I can understand the experiences that you must have gained with great minds like Kamala Harris, who is also an alumnus of our university. One of us that time, who is late now, was in the political science department as a Fulbright scholar. So we are really excited that you have thought it wise to give back to your community, and that you have chosen Ahmadu Bello University as one of those universities. We thank you most sincerely for your commitment and your dedication. You were here last year, and here you are again. The university administration cannot thank you enough. We are focused as the university administration to improve the leadership of our various units, to provide opportunities for us to gain valuable experiences, so that our administrative processes and our delivery systems are based on visionary leadership and accountability, and so that at the end of the day we are able to deliver our mandate of producing quality university graduates. I am particularly happy that this conference is coming at this point in time because of our recent experiences. Most are aware that our students were in Shenzhen, China, for Huawei global ICT competition, in which they excelled. I was privileged to be there with them, only for the very first time in their lives. And they were really blown away by what they saw. And so at dinner, some of them had the courage to ask us, "Sir, why is it that Nigeria is not like what we are seeing?" And now you could see concern and anger in their question. And honestly, I answered them and I told them that the problem is the problem of leadership. And try to explain to them and making them, in fact, at some points, we just told them, say, look, enjoy. And say what you can enjoy, see what you can see, take pictures as much as you can, and we'll take you shopping and you do your shopping, and you can go back home and tell the stories. You know, and in fact, you know, anytime, of course, you know that. Anytime you travel out and you come back, you are always very concerned. Why are we the way we are? You know, and simply put, the answer still boils down to the same thing: leadership at all levels. While we cannot control what happens at the macro level, at the national level, at least we can control what happens within ABU where we have responsibility. And so we want to see that we are, you know, a that others can learn from and can grow from. And that is why the efforts to provide leadership training at various levels of the school system, of the university system, is very critical. Therefore, we want to appreciate the efforts that have been made. The university is carrying out a number of reforms in the registry, converting them, the registry into directorates. We have recently appointed directors. And so we are carrying out a number of processes to ensure that we streamline and strengthen the leadership structure of the university. And so this conference comes at a very good time to help us to provide those values, those structures that are necessary to ensure that people have the right orientation to lead. Leadership is about vision, it's about getting people under your care to do things that ordinarily don't imagine that they can do. So I believe that at the end of the day, we are going to see changes. We are going to see improved delivery systems. And we hope that all of us that are going to be beneficiaries of this conference will take it seriously. And not only do you benefit from it, but make sure that you step it down to officers under you. So once again, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, to thank the Institute, to thank Dr. for partnering with us. We hope to strengthen this partnership and open new opportunities for even bigger projects together. I wish you the very best as we go through this conference. Have a wonderful conference and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor. So please come once again, put our hands together for the Vice Chancellor. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the sessions proper, we'll now go for a photograph. After the photograph, then we come back for the first session.
All those who are privileged. If you have, again, are doing the little you have, to go around the country and parts, no matter how little it is, do your bits. Let's, yes. So it's definitely good.
you are privileged, you can spread your privilege. That's okay. You should go around. You should go around.
Yes.
Nigeria is a country that needs prayers.
Yeah.
It's a country that needs serious prayer. You right? You will see us. Yes, not coming up. Too much.
Yadda sa aka ga police aka diba gaba ɗaya musu.
To shi me tunani?
To ko menene mu abin da muke so mu in ka kawo submission ɗinka ka riƙe ɗin ka gani. Amma baka kawo ba kana tunani.
From his own shi abin da ya tunani was wancan submission ɗin da ya kawo haddasu a ciki.
Ina yake to ashe ya zo da submission ɗin sai mu duk muna da submissions. In har an kai wa'ancin lissa babu su.
Kuma an duba ba sa ciki.
Ba sa ciki ai ga list. Ka san kar ka zo ka zama kana da perception cewa yana ɗan kaza.
Shi na most likely abubuwa sun bayyana.
Saboda ni in dai ka kawo zan tabbatar da cewa list ɗin abin da aka yi na yi take musu na gan su shi yasa nake ce kowa ya aka dai sanar ta diba ma an suna suno su ya gani a sanar appointment ne ko menene in ba gani ko da saboda PG na omitin ko kai kula ta ba za mu sani ba so yanzu yaran nan ma na ce shekarun jiya akai ban san ko rijiba ya kai ba
haka wata
bari kira bayo saboda in rijiba ya kai ba ita ko gobe mutum babu su
bari ya zo ba zai sa ba zai kwana shi ya dora bari
kira bayo saboda gobe za a yi PG meeting in ba su ta yi jiya ba ko yau at most an kai su kenan Bayo, I want to ask whether I saw brought that submission. They didn't talk.
shi kenan tare da din ka kai submission da awal ce ka kai aka ce ne
Ka ce ba a kai ba yanzu.
a ba shafi zai kai ba to anyway ka ce kira shafi ka ce kai da Allah ya dan ba kai ba
yanzu shafi ta yi ce koyi na manta yaran ka ta daga musu wadanni sai an biya
so yanzu da ya ce zai kira shafi
to in ya kai ta ce bayo don je ne da lai zan ce bayo su ya kai yau don ba ka zo da shi gobe
ka gane a bazai yi ba za su yi
alhamdulillah duk aka ce saboda ina iya tana yawan amma mu ne za mu ba ka ba yaran kuma ba da wasu da ba da aka zo aka ce rigima muka je sun suka shi a cikin ya take nasu da ni ba mu dawo da shi bane ban sani na kira ne da jinsi a cikin remember to I take ba wanda ya kawo take muka roƙa
da ba sani ba
tun March 2025 April 2025 ana 2025
result
sun ji asali result ne ta fi ci ai STP nasu na kamar na gaya ma ya baki daga wannan commission ka zo da shi next meeting ka gaya mutane za ka gaya musu amma ya zo next meeting ba ka yi da mindin nasu wanda bai dawo da correction ba shi
saboda in ba ku yi haka ba ka da evidence cewa kun ba mu mutum ko alternatively another option is an dawo daga PG meeting a ce official
to all the departments
da corrections ɗin ko da suna
ai matsala PG board mu kan je meeting
ana so one day ko Tuesday haka ne
ba ma kai kai mun Friday ne saka dai saboda next week Senate kuma san za a presented
ba time ne da ma suna Senate suna ma Senate meeting ne
2 weeks
suna faculty board
PG board 2 weeks before har da na shirya mai da shi haka amma yanzu an canza saboda kasan an yi suka jani department must meet a basu first week faculty must meet second week PD third week Senate
wani kun fasa san video
Allah ya mana. Lagi tuang kai.
Yes, Allah. Okay.
Go ahead. Once again, good morning all, and welcome back to the second segment of the conference. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the second segment of the conference will focus, or rather, we'll focus on the first presentation on the reimagining leadership, strategies for global and effective execution in higher education, an alternative to authority leading beyond study, turning vision into results. And this presentation is to be led by our August visitor, Dr. Aderonke Foundation, Chief Executive Officer, Aderonke Foundation. But before you come up, May I please your indulgence to please rise and remain standing while I read a brief about you. Dr. Aderonke is a transformational leader, entrepreneur, technologist, author, international real estate investor, leadership strategist, and global philanthropist with more than 2 decades of experience leading complex organizations, technology portfolios, business ventures, and leadership development initiatives across corporate, government, academic, and non-profit sectors. She serves as executive officer of Bruno Oil Company, leading strategic growth, business development, international expansion, and distribution partnerships throughout the Caribbean and other emerging markets. She also serves as a consultant with the Center for Global Leadership, advising corporations, educational institutions, government agencies, and non-profit organizations on leadership development, organizational effectiveness, customer experience, cultural transformation, and servant leadership practices. Prior to her entrepreneurial leadership, Dr. Aderonke built a distinguished corporate career in Washington Gas, Fannie Mae, Wells Fargo Advisors, Development Financial Groups, Summit Health, and other major institutions. Her accomplishments, including leading the nationwide rebranding of Shovia Securities following its merger with Wells Fargo, directing large-scale enterprise transformation initiatives, recruiting, training, and leading more than 1,000 SBA loan officers during the COVID-19 pandemic response, and successfully delivering complex enterprise resource planning (ERP) modernization initiatives, including a major transformation project supporting the government of Ghana. Her PhD in organizational leadership from Regent University and is widely recognized as an expert in leadership for sustainability, servant leadership, youth leadership development, organizational transformation, and crisis leadership. She is the author of Raising Good Leaders and a contributing author to Leadership Growth Through Crisis by Great Macmillan. As founder and CEO of the Aderonke Foundation, she has led transformative initiatives that have established more than 150 community libraries and impacted over 200,000 students through literacy and technology programs across Nigeria. Through programs such as All Nigeria Leads, Tech Savvy Nigeria, the Children's Leadership Initiative, and University Leadership Conferences, she continues to expand educational opportunities and develop the next generation of ethical leaders. In addition to business and philanthropic work, Dr. Aderonke is an active international real estate investor with residential and income-producing properties across Africa, the United States, and the Caribbean. She also mentors emerging leaders and serves on non-profit and advisory boards, providing strategic guidance in governance, organizational growth, financial stewardship, and community impact. Dr. Aderonke has been honored with United Nations Women in Leadership Award, Big Humans of Change Award, internationally recognized speaker, leadership strategist, and organizational transformation expert, founder of initiatives impacting more than 200,000 students across Nigeria, nationwide educational, literacy, technology, and youth development programs. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our next speaker for today, the Chief Executive Officer of Aderonke Foundation, Dr. Aderonke Foundation. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So sometimes when folks are reading the bio, I have to question reading about because none of that is important to me. I'll tell you what is important to me. Just a few things. The children that I serve, and if any of you goes to aderonkefoundation.org, you'll get to see pictures of the students that are very near and dear to my heart. But beyond that, something that didn't show up on my bio that is really important to me is I ride horses. It's also one of the reasons why I like being in the north a lot. I love to ride horses. I ride horses at least once a month somewhere in the world, many times more than that. And then I talked to you already about basketball at least a couple times a week. And people are often surprised that at my age, I can still tackle and
do some interesting things on the basketball court. Nice, but I think those are the more important things to me. But in all seriousness, I think we started out this conference on a great note. As I listened to a lot of the speakers that spoke earlier this morning, they continue to resound the same message really that I have for you today. I think the difference is hopefully we'll get into a little more practicality around leadership. So our conference theme, Reimagining Leadership, what that should signal for you is that you take off what you used to think about leadership, put it to the side, and be open to some of what we will talk about today, because we're going to look at leadership a slightly different way. And then when you think about strategies for effective execution and sustainable impact. Effective execution, I'll talk about a little bit. One of the things that did not come up on my bio is that people call me a whiz for getting things done. I spent most of my career delivering for governments and for corporations. And what does that mean? I'm one of these rare people that you tell me your vision, and I'm able to work with people to get it done. But not just get it done. Getting it done, there are two signature things I have on every effort or every project I do, even during COVID-19. We get it done by having fun, and we get it done well. I don't believe that you are successful at any, we deliver impact, that when you are not in the room, people are speaking very well of you. That when you're not in the room, people are getting what you want to get done. And that's where we're heading to. I think what we've done over the years is that we have pushed people to get things done. And you all know, if you don't like a particular leader and they ask you to get something done, you might get it done because they are over you, they're your boss. They have the title. But the second they turn their back, what is happening? Finish. Right? And so what we're going to talk a little bit about is how do we position ourselves so that in our leadership roles, that people do not abandon what we have asked them to do, our vision, sustainable impact. Do I have a clicker or do I tell you? Okay, let's keep going. So I always like to start, let's go back 1 second. I always like to start conversations like this with why, right? What is the purpose for this conversation? Why is it even important? Yes, we have talked about it from a very general perspective, that we have a gap in leadership globally, in Nigeria. Wherever you look, we have a gap. I have a question for you. Before we even go to unprecedented challenges, if you had to count how many good leaders that you have met, is there anybody here that has met more good leaders than bad leaders? Anybody here? More good leaders than bad leaders? Think about it. Is there anybody that if you think about the leaders that you've experienced over time, that you can count more than 20 good leaders that you've experienced in your lifetime? None of us are children here. So we've lived for a very long time. Is there anybody that can count 10 good leaders that you will vouch for over the course of your lifetime or over the course of your career? 10. I'm not asking for a lot. 10. What does that say?
That's a lot.
So if we speak from our hearts, we'll find out that very few people we have met having good leaders to us, people that we will vouch for, that we will put our name on the line for. Very, very few. And that indeed is the problem. That indeed is the why we're having this conversation.
But beyond that, I'll tell you, my life is not as different in the US. You guys have these unprecedented challenges. Let's flip to the next page. I was going to ask you to tell me a few of them, but I'll share my thoughts on some of the challenges that you have today. Dealing with artificial intelligence. I don't know if you understand how crazy this is today. I can call a student and ask them to create absolutely anything. And you yourself, you doubting, is this me or is it not me? Which means videos can be created and disseminated to absolutely anyone, saying absolutely anything. And remember I talked about children that have a computer before. Guess what happens? They don't understand that it's AI, so they believe it. Some of us, the more intelligent people in the room, we can maybe begin to look at things and say, this one doesn't look straight. He doesn't say his no like that. But if a video like that gets disseminated into the rural areas, imagine a video like that in Hausa, for instance, in a rural area where we have tons of my favorite people, little boys, and it's asking them to do something that they shouldn't be doing, but it's the voice of somebody that they remember and they respect. This is pretty dangerous. I love technology. I'm a technologist by trade. I use AI every single day. But you also, just like horses, power of what you're working with and respect it for that. Funding constraints. I don't think that's just academics, right? That's not just on this campus. Anywhere you go in Nigeria, everybody's talking about how the money no reach you, right? Everybody's looking for more funding sources. And sometimes it feels like it's getting worse. Everybody's talking about the good old days. I don't know where the good old days were, because even in the good old days, we're looking for money. But everybody refers to the good old days. Funding constraints are huge. To have someone like Trump walk into the office of the United States and decide to cut aid in the way that he did. It happened once, it can happen again. Shut down. The voice of one person. And the list is endless. Changing student expectations. I'm not in your classrooms, I'm not in your offices, but I can guarantee you that the Gen Zs that I know have very different expectations from millennials, from Gen Xs. If you don't perform as they're expecting, you know what they can and cannot do. No regard for hierarchy anymore. They have a voice. And it's not just a voice here on your campus. It's a voice that can be found in every corner of the world just by one post on TikTok. The expectations are different. Global competition, graduate employability concerns, increasing demands for accountability. I think I was looking at something recently on one of the Nigerian fintech companies. And they said their problem is not that there are no jobs. Their problem is that they can't find qualified candidates for the jobs. How does it make sense that in Nigeria, where we graduate so many students every single year, that there are jobs that Nigerian companies are struggling to fill because our students don't have the right qualifications? These are not ABC challenges, they're pretty complicated. Solving them is going to take a lot. These were just my perspectives. I'm curious, what other challenges are you seeing that maybe may not be highlighted here? I'd like to learn from you as well. Anybody willing to share? What are the biggest campus challenges you're seeing in your departments and your faculties today? I don't send everybody to deep thoughts. Everybody's quiet. No brave souls yet. Ah. Now don't fall my hand though. But go ahead, thank you.
Yes, I know this first. Usually and second is funding constraint. Because I think whatever we do, and the biggest challenge now is constraint.
Good one, thank you. Do we have a second mic?
Yes.
Can you pass this on to me? Oh, is this one?
Thank you very much. I think whatever is there, once the morale of those involved is, there's little one can achieve. For instance, as we are all gathered here, I don't have to be a soothsayer to know that some of us are thinking of how to get fuel to take their kids to school, water, food, and all issues that are non-issues in areas or climes where, you could see some level of good or serious leadership. So once the morale is low, your attention is taken away from what you are supposed to do. I think that is a huge challenge, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause, please. I don't think they could have been said any better than that. Where there's no morale, when morale is low, where do you go from there? I can come here and talk to you from now till forever. If we don't flip the script, there would be zero impact. I can tell you that. But our goal today is to try to give you a different perspective to look at things that I think could take where we want to go. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. One of the challenges that I see with the generation which I believe I'm not far away from, is the challenge of self-entitlement. I believe the generation, they have the sense of entitlement that they deserve everything without actually even wanting something close to that. And I think that is something that should be actually looked into and see how there should be a form of make enlightenment and look at what has gone wrong actually along the way from the previous generation to the generation we have today and the one that is going to come after what we have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. The entitlement mentality. I stood. Can we bring the mic this way? I stood amongst a group of students over the last week, and we talked about things. They asked me, Dr. Aderonke, what do we do when those that have the power today will not give it to us? And I looked at them and I said, have you ever read anywhere where power is handed over? I said, you're no different. Some things are principles. They've been in order for centuries before I came, before your great-grandfather came. And so if you want the power, then you gotta go get it. But instead they are sitting and waiting. Sir.
Thank you very much. apologies for coming a bit engaged elsewhere. Talking about higher, I am SB Dean Student Affairs. I think talking about higher education, for me, the biggest in Nigeria, the biggest challenge, which a precursor to some of these issues, is the student population. Yes, it's the biggest monster in my dictionary. Because if you look at the number of students that we have, then that will explain the funding constraints, for example. That will explain why we are not able to compete, because we don't have enough manpower to handle this explosive number of input that we have. Maybe I'll stop there. I taught somewhere for 10 years where I did not have for 10 years more than maximum I had was 40 students in the class. So I was able to do everything. I was able to produce students who could compete anywhere. Many of them now are employees of Google, Microsoft that time. But returning home, I realized that I could not do 2/3 of what I was able to do. Of course, with other infrastructural constraints. But the major thing is the explosive number of students that we cannot manage. And that explains the funding constraint. Sometimes when I said that there is a course, and that course, for it to be taught well, I needed 50 full-time staff. Everybody was saying, but that is what it requires for us to teach that well. So I think for me, the biggest monster in higher education is our student enrollment, that we don't have capacity to handle. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll take one more and then we'll keep running before the director chases me from here.
Thank you very much. My name is Bashir Ahmadu Bello, the Director Division of Agricultural Colleges. Mine is the extreme end of what the Director of Student Affairs said. The perception of general into agricultural courses. So based on that, we are facing not the college only. All the agricultural colleges in Nigeria are facing problem of low enrollment. So this is a major constraint, apart from the other areas that other people have said. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you so much. I think it's interesting to hear the feedback, but I'll bring all of those challenges that you mentioned and add complicated. Because for each of these challenges, there's good in them, but there's also disaster that can happen through them. When you think about what the director mentioned in terms of the population, there's absolute good in population. He's talking about having too many students. You're talking about having not enough students. It's complicated. I can look at artificial intelligence and say a disaster is about to happen if the wrong thing gets in the hands of the wrong people. But if you ask me on another day, I would say, thank God for AI. Because if not for AI, I wouldn't be able to accomplish one thing or the other. So it's complicated. Let's keep going. So when I think about all of those challenges, I think this is what it boils down to for me. The future of our institutions will not be determined by technology, government, or economic conditions alone. It depends on leadership. Because whether you take overpopulation, underpopulation, AI, or any of the other issues we talked about,
None of these things are going to solve it. There is no policy that will come from the government to solve it. There is no, even if you had all of the money that you needed. Think about Nigeria. People are making crazy amounts of money in Nigeria. On one hand, we say that we don't have the resources, right? We're underfunded. If you want to persuade someone on something with a different opinion, I have to listen to you first to be able to change your mind. Same thing for all of those. If you're going to be good leaders, leaders that actually deliver sustainable impact, you have to be good listeners. You have to have vision. You have to be able to heal your people, make them feel better than when they came into your space. You have to build community, have empathy for people. You have to have a commitment to their growth. You have to have awareness. Awareness is the education. You cannot lead if you don't know road, right? They say follow who know road. Follow who know road. That is the awareness part of it. In what you're leading them, persuasion, ethics, and service. You have to serve your people. I have a shirt that I wear that says leadership is service. What I will leave with you is that if you lead with all of this in play, you will be successful regardless of all of those things. I can't read it from here, but your religion, your ethnicity, marital status, social status, cultures, it transcends all of it. Whether you're here on ABU's campus or you're in Shanghai, or you're in the US or in the Caribbean, if you lead with all of these things in play, you will deliver that sustainable impact. There's a second conversation that needs to be had around execution, and we can table it for some other time, but I want to with this, ponder it a little bit, and hopefully some of it makes sense, and we'll have time for further conversations. Thank you so much. 1 minute over.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We all know that leadership is a multifaceted concept. If given the whole lead, exhaust all that need to be exhausted as far as leadership is concerned. You have actually done a very good job by touching virtually all aspects of leadership. And I believe our senior professors and senior deputy registrars have benefited from the world of experience. You once again, thank you very much. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, based on the timing, initially we were supposed to go for lunch break, and then eventually we eat before coming back. But the director has stated that we take the next presentation, since the next presentation is by our timing is around 12:30, 29 days from about. So we'll take the next presentation. After the next presentation, and we'll go for lunch break, we break, and then we convene for the last session. Thank you very much. And at this point, may I invite the second speaker? The second speaker, or rather the second presentation, will focus on leading the house titles, influence across department, informal leadership, building credibility. The speaker is Professor Siraj Abdulkarim, the Department of Public Administration. Please, as you come forward, sir, and we stand for just a bit about it. Yes, they are my colleagues. Yes.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, and Dr. Aderonke, I hope I'm correct, and the Director of the Institute of Education. My dear students, I wish to discuss that position leading without title. And I'm happy to say maybe 50% of my paper has been said by Dr. Aderonke. Because my own perception is, how do we lead without being a dean, without being a vice chancellor, without being the head of department, but as colleagues, as a lecturer, as somebody in the office, in the registrar, and so on and so forth. So I'd like to make my presentation in the following way. What's leadership? That has been discussed. I don't want to overlook it. Leadership by trait or by process. We discussed that a little bit. Does leadership have to be with title or position? Leadership without title? Leadership, soft skills for leadership, university environment, and types of leadership. Briefly, I think we'll try and go through these slides. I have about 60 plus, so I will run through them quickly. Next, please. Next. I think we have been discussing the first paper, what's in leadership. Briefly, we'll simply say the concept of leadership started getting attention from the academics as early as 1900. People were beginning to discuss on leadership. And to date, it's a sort of attention because of its importance and its variability. Yet, important and significant as leadership is, there's no one single definition of it wholly accepted by academic scholars. As important as it is, but there is no one accepted definition wholly by the academics. Leadership is a multidimensional concept. It has been defined differently by different scholars across disciplines because of its importance and significance. Pointed out that there are as many different definitions of leadership as there are people who try to define it. So you can see the problem of having one personality. But generally, North House has argued that leadership is a process where an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. Individual, not office. It's not necessary to practice, not necessarily defined by rank, title, or authority, but rather by ability to inspire, motivate, and guide people willingly and collectively innovate, collaborate, and achieve results that could not be attained individually. That's simply what is leadership, whereby you can influence people to achieve particular goals that they cannot achieve individually. There is still debate whether leadership is by trait or by process, born leader or a leader who learns. So generally, what we believe is whether there are traits or born-made leaders, or that it is natural. And the process of learned or interaction that is learned and put to use by the leader to lead the followers. Scholars believe that leadership is by process. Because if you say leadership is a born leader, you simply mean to say there is a leader who for life is a leader. And there are people who for life never be leaders. But scholars generally agree that leadership is natural. It's a process, it can be learned. Characteristics of natural or born intelligence, oration, fluency, height, courage, being extrovert, and so on. If you are what we call trait leader who will simply emerge as a leader, it's probably because of these characteristics. They usually emerge spontaneously without election. Next, please. Leadership characteristics include sinful interaction between the leader and the followers, where characteristics such as inclusiveness, accountability, empathy, etc., emerge and building a relationship. Generally, process leadership emerge by recognition and election. Elements whereby, because of some skills, you have been seen as a leader. Leadership is learned behavioral skills, which the ability to help other people attain their goals, either as individuals or as a group or organization or a state. It's also a process of overseeing the affairs of others to attain a common goal, as we said earlier. It's a process of influencing, directing efforts individuals group. We can go to next slide. Noting that general and working definition of leadership can be without title. By title, we mean having been officially appointed with office, with the retinue of staff, budget, formulate, and implement. That may be what you call formal leader, like director of the institute. He has a budget to execute, he has staff to supervise, he has the authority to call in people, has authority to recommend. So that is what we call formal leadership, but we are thinking of more of informal leadership in this particular paper. Leadership without title is informed and leads more through influence and not because of position such as peer groups, friends, etc., whereby you can see somebody you might is a leader because of his inclusivity, because of particular skills that he has influenced his peer groups. In the university setting, it can extend to teaching, supervision, especially through mentorship, leading membership of various committees, respective course representatives in the class. They could all be leaders, informal leaders, because they don't have staff, they don't have authority to influence, to implement budget, they don't have authority to sanction, they don't have authority to promote or demote. So because of that, they are more informal leaders. Through teaching and supervision, lecturers can positively or negatively impact on their students. In my career, I have seen many students who will cry that their lecturer is their supervisor. And there are some who will jubilate that that particular lecturer is their supervisor, simply because of the inclusivity and the ability to solve problems. Because students know they have a history of almost each and every one of lecturers. Don't go for that person. Don't go for that person. Simply because they don't seem as a problem solver. It's more of a difficult and hard to please. Informal leadership can be dysfunctional, such as activities of cult groups, drugs, management practice syndicates, and so on. So even in informal leadership, we can have dysfunctional leadership. And it's very important for universities to take note of this very particular form of leadership. Functional groups such as the committees universities is known for, groups organized for discussions or tutorials by the students or by the students themselves. They can also organize themselves to form groups for tutorials, groups for solving problems. Those are also functional, even though they are informal leaders. Next, please. I said, for forming organizations such as the protection of the environment, promoting moral and cultural values, students' rights, all these are elements of informal leadership. In the university, you have many of such groups whereby they be able to lead students to achieve some particular goals or vision or objectives. Leaders without titles need to consistently improve, especially their soft skills. The more soft skills, the more skilled they are, the more relevant they become. An informal leader does not rely on power or authority. He relies more on the skills, the skill of empathy, the skill of problem solving, the skill of inclusivity, the skill of communication, so many of these soft skills. Those are the skills that most informal leaders rely on. And with them, they can become very effective leaders, sometimes even more than formal leaders. Soft skills such as communication, empathy, critical thinking, problem solving, etc., are more interpersonal and related to leadership. They are capacities for especially leaders without title. If you see these capabilities, then leaders without title will be very effective and will be able to solve problems. It should be of interest to heads of departments, deans, and other hierarchy to identify functional groups and individuals, that's amongst our students, to encourage and motivate them further. What I'm saying is, there are people who want to help, who want to serve. It's very important that the heads of department, the deans, directors, and attend to these particular groups and encourage them to function much better. Next, please. While also at the earliest identify the dysfunctional groups and individuals to nip their activities in the bud, not overlooking them to degenerate and affect students or staff or the institutions in general. There are groups that are also dysfunctional, informal as they are. At the same time, they should be able to, especially from the registry, from the academics, to understand them on time and take care of them before they become a problem to the university or the environment they are. I said influence of leaders without title easily and effectively cuts across departments and faculties, especially improve soft skills of the leader. I can remember our undergraduate students, our president, what we call president of the student union, was able to metamorphose and become a leader in one of the political parties after graduation, and a very effective leader. Because of his ability to have these soft skills, he became a very effective leader. But unfortunately, he was too hard on criticizing the military, and I think somehow, from our own perception, the guy was killed. Or murdered, I don't know. Our concentration is on leadership without title and use the university as a case study, leading through influence and not position. Yeah, next, please. So leadership is so vital and significant that it is found in all social interactions, nuclear family, extended family, peer group, small or big formal or informal organizations, and never allowed give to chance. Because of its importance, it's so vital that leadership is found everywhere, whether functional or dysfunctional. So it can be, between husband and wife can be a functional leader, can be a dysfunctional leader, whether even at individual level. I said, in fact, leadership is also personal, individual, and it can be dysfunctional or functional also. I remember I was on strike for 8 months some time back. So when a student came back, I was asking them, those 8 months, what did you do? Some will tell you they slept, wake up, eat, sleep, wake up, eat for 8 months. Some will tell you they registered themselves into one form of training. They went to school and taught on their own. So you could see that there are people who are functional leaders on their own. And they could see that there are people who are dysfunctional. They don't know how to even improve their skills. So they become a problem to themselves and to the society. So as leaders without title are generally followed because of certain characteristics, such as inclusiveness, intelligence, proper social communication, influence, empathy, dialogue, trust, expertise, openness, mentorship. And this is what I believe in the university should be encouraged. And that is why I said there are students who will like to see some lecturers as their lecturers, as their supervisors, as their mentors. And they despise some simply because of these characteristics. So it's important that we have this inbuilt at the university, the university management, to encourage these kind of skills. As a people with such characteristic skills become leaders and can drive change. Such leaders become mentors and role models to younger generations. Because you don't have to wait to be an office, a dean or a director or a head of department. You can mentor, you can lead, you can solve problems for students, and that will make you a leader. So I said a leader without title appeals and leads by example. Such leaders complement what leaders with title do if functional. In fact, sometimes they do more than the official or the formal leaders, simply because they are able to help, they are able to solve problems, they are able to mentor students to be what they are. So I said that a leader can be without title and can be effective and responsible. There are many types of, and in the academics, they used to say there are many types of leadership, but we are going to, next slide, to discuss only two that will be of interest for this particular paper. There are what they call transactional leader, there are what they call transformational leader. Transactional leader is a leader who depends on what we like to say, stick, reward, and punishment, or carrot and stick, because it's authority. It's authority.
He had the authority to punish, he has the authority to sanction, he has the authority to monitor, to do order. But that's transactional leader. And normally transactional leaders lead by extrinsic. They are not leaders that influence people.
Yes.
They are leaders that, in fact, you fear.
Yes.
So because of that, these are not the kind of leaders who should promote in the university. We have the transformational leader who influences, who motivates, who leads by example, who helps, who solves from empathy. In fact, he doesn't have to wait for you to say, this is what I want. He can understand this is what you want and give it to you before even you come to ask about it. So that was kind of leaders I think the university should be able to promote. I said it's a leader, that is how the transactional leader by Carol Stick, let's go. A leader by extrinsic, like from outside the group or from outside the team. Transactional leader discourages teamwork because he wants to divide and rule. Next, please. Transactional leader may be more meant for military purposes, assignments, and just do it and disperse. Transactional leadership without authority with a budget, let's move forward. Or trying to avoid reprimand, that's transactional leader. So yeah, transactional leader. Okay, transformational. This is what one of the authors, Bas, said. He has 4 categories: inspirational motivation, idealized influence, intellectual stimulation, and transformational leader is one who influences individuals and groups to achieve organized goals or organizational goals. Thus, TL uses systematic way to understand followers, implemental needs, often before they cry out. Even before you cry out, you'll be able to get your needs and address them. The transformational leader tries to talk to your mind, to steal your mind, if you like. Not just to serve you by face value. No, he would like to see love between you, freely and love between you and him. And then the TL promotes organizational consensus, a culture of motivation, hard work, transparency, accountability, selflessness in a filial manner, to achieve higher results. Because for him, it is passion to achieve results. And not me as a leader, I have achieved, no, we have achieved collectively. TL promotes organizational accountability, emergency, filial manner. Imagine that the culture of our respective states. Imagine, I was saying, just think about if we have these transformational leaders with the current Nigeria's blessings. Allah has blessed them. The environment, the population, the agricultural environment, the weather, the minerals, the fuel, and all things that God has blessed this country. Assuming that we have transformational leaders from the top to the bottom, Nigeria would have been a different country totally. But unfortunately, the reverse is the case. And I'm saying that, as I was saying, in and this, whereby when you travel out, believe me, when you travel out, you have no pain. No pain. Why is Nigeria like this? Countries that don't have resources. I was in one country, they can't dig a borehole because it's a mountainous country. They can't dig a borehole. And they don't have no river. That country survives on snow. If there is snow, they will harvest the water, and that water will be treated for drinking, and the untreated will be for agriculture, and it exports agriculture. That country sometimes borrow water from another country. Borrow water. But when you go to the hotel, believe when you put on the shower, if you are not careful, it will hit you back because of the power of the water. But none of this country can you open a tap. Honestly, it's just pain. Pain. Because you just wonder what are we crashing? With all the resources we have, but you go and see countries who don't have pen. So I said, but it is doable. It is doable. Next, please. I said, for me, it is clear that transformational leader is the type that leads, motivates, and galvanizes followers to achieve results. Transformational type of leadership is intrinsic and promotes the process skills that can be learned, especially in tertiary institutions with motivational mentors, nay, role models for students. Because my belief is that once we nurture students and they start to move forward, then there's hope that they are going to change the country. I work with the police academy. I have noticed that our police are brutal because they are taught brutality from their schools. Because they will deny you food, they will deny you anything good for you, and they will. That's all. So when they graduate, now they will transfer that brutality on the citizens. So there's just no, simply because it is brutality all around. It's a vicious circle. And there is only transformation leader can break that vicious circle. Transformation type of leadership suits leadership without title, especially leadership, without transformational leader is the leader that you can do, that you can have without title, and will function effectively. I said there is establishment of the leadership center. I was going to understand that in the university there is a leadership center fully built. I don't know that it has been equipped, but I think it is important that university take this very important, that the leadership center be fully equipped, funded, so that it will be able to develop in conjunction with Institute of Education, Institute of Administration, and other sectors of the university to promote developing leadership skills for students in our universities. And next, please. I said, having that will empowers the leadership center to map out short-term and long-term leadership skills training programs that are both theoretical and empirical for students, staff, and beyond. I was in one university here in Africa, Makerere University. They have a leadership library, very important, very interesting. When you enter, you see so many things, history of good leaders, their pictures, their videos, their speeches, an interesting thing, which I think should be available in Ahmadu University. And I said, teaching and promoting the leadership process of a transformational leader may help tackle the leadership deficit Nigeria is facing. And I said again, it is doable. I am hoping that with this, starting in ABU, other universities will start it, will begin to train the younger ones, so when they graduate and become leaders, there will be transformation, and Nigeria will be a better place for everyone. We need such leadership training on a wider scale. For example, serious political parties and even governments in Nigeria need to establish leadership institutes to train their members, citizens, and others on leadership skills and leadership recruitment process. It's important Nigeria addresses its leadership recruitment process. The way things are going, we are going deeper and deeper into more trouble. So I think we have to be out, and I think it's the academics and the universities that should be able to lead this process so that they will be able to, maybe hopefully with ASU, with NLC, can move ahead and will bring something good for the university, for the country. I said this institute to meticulously and urgently address the leadership deficit and develop a credible, transparent, and democratic framework for leadership recruitment. Hopefully that will help us address the problem we are facing. Develop standard procedures for credible leadership recruitment in Nigeria, changing the narrative from money politics to one that is credible, democratic, and service-oriented. The natural should start at least from the universities and immediately too, to arrest Nigeria's current deficit descent into that place. I think it's important that we take this very seriously, whereby, because whatever you do to students now, when they graduate, they will come back and what they call paying back. They pay back if they were treated well, and they will be disgusted if they treat them very badly. So I think it's important that we develop these transformational skills so that our students will be happy, not only with the university, but will have a vision to see that they have changed this country for the better. Next, please. So I said, if we have those kind of transformation, and with Nigeria's teeming youth population who are innovative, who are energetic, I think with that, the sky for Nigeria is not the limit, but rather the sky is the beginning for prosperity and development. And I hope that will be achieved in the next few times. So thank you for that. I only said for last one, please, my friend, the last. I said it's a takeaway. I said for powers of administration and it's a takeaway. Leadership, and particularly transformational leadership, is the live wire for organizations for all levels and all types to prosper and succeed. Thank you very much for listening.
9 minutes. Thank you very much, Professor. Please, once again, a round of applause. At the beginning, when Professor he had 65 slides, I was expecting maybe the last, the presentation will last almost an hour, but eventually he spent 27 minutes instead of 30 minutes. So, as a seasoned academic, that did not come as a surprise. I know it's something you're very much used to. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we'll go for a 30 minutes lunch and prayer break. By our time, it's 1 p.m., so we're expected to convene for the last session by 1:30. Thank you very much. See you by 1:30. Thank you.